Hi, my name is John, and welcome back to my channel. I'm with Good Burger Reviews, and I'm here to do a brand new 2025 movie review on Death of a Unicorn.
Showing me something. I get this feeling I don't think we're supposed to be here.
Sorry, we're late.
What happened? You walked from the airport or what?
It's perfect timing.
I need you to act like everything is fine.
Is there something in your car?
A lot of species in this area are rare.
I don't think that we're supposed to have this.
We need to study it.
Whatever it is, it seems to be the cure for cancer.
Cancer? That's the biggest one.
This movie was just released into movie theaters. It is directed by Alex Sharpman. It is produced and distributed by A24. Starring Jenny Ortega, Paul Rudd, Will Poulter, Tia Leone, Anthony Carrigan, and Richard E. Grant. The basic storyline behind this one is when a man and his daughter accidentally hit and kill a unicorn with their car, his boss tries to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties, and it comes with horrific results. So let me start off by saying I was hesitant to even go see this one. I saw that it was listed as horror, and I had chosen to go see Woman in the Yard instead on opening night, and decided to wait a couple days before going to see this one. I didn't know too much about this, not really knowing that this was coming. At the beginning of the month, when I searched movies to be released in March of 2025, I saw this on the list, and just by the title, my expectation was kind of low. I thought it was going to be more of a comedy. So this movie is loaded with original ideas, mixed with a lot of ideas and storylines that we've seen before. And when I tell you what movie I'm about to compare this one to, it's going to be like, what? So as the movie unfolds, I thought, this is going to be a mix for me, at least I thought. And it's coming along, and right out the gate, I noticed that the cinematography and where they shot this and the landscaping behind where they were, I mean, they are again, here we go with a secluded area, so they're deep in the wilderness somewhere. I have no idea really where they are. It's beautiful though. So I'd read the basic plot line. I knew they were going to hit a unicorn, it was going to die, and it was going to be, some sort of business event or something was going to go down with the death of this unicorn. What I didn't expect was it to mimic one of the most all-time favorite movies of mine that I've loved. So I'm going to give my spoiler-free reaction first because I definitely need to get into spoiler material on this one. So what I will say is this movie is actually really good, and it surprised me. The storyline, though taken from movies we've seen before, was great. Cinematography great, acting really good. I really like Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd. Now in the beginning I thought Paul Rudd was kind of cruddy, but his character really steps up, and maybe it was more the character, not him specifically. The pacing on this one was decent, and it does have some gore as well. And not too much gore, just enough gore to keep you engaged in what's going on. There's some mixed comedy, lots of action, lots of adventure, definitely some horrific elements. There's a unicorn in it, so it's very mystical and fairy tale-ish. And it's heartfelt as well. I feel the best way to explain this one is to compare it. Again, here we go with coming out on the same weekend is a movie featuring characters who are, it's a single parent, so Paul Rudd plays a single parent, and in Woman in the Yard, which I just saw over the weekend, starred a parent who was a single parent who had recently lost her partner and was grieving. Again, in this one, Paul Rudd is a single parent with a kid, and they're grieving. Their mom, Jenna Ortega's mom has died. Doesn't say how far back or how long ago, but I feel like it was somewhat recent. So no surprise with A24 that they're exploring grief and trauma in their main characters. When I think about the single parent from each movie, Paul Rudd's character versus Danielle Detweiler's character from Woman in the Yard, Detweiler's character definitely stands out a little bit more as far as the acting and what that character was going through as far as the grief. And probably because, if anything, her character is dealing with the grief in a more recent. But just like at the beginning of the month when I was comparing Opus and Borderline, saying, oh, there's some similar elements in these movies, but yet they ended up being completely different. Well, it's the same here. Woman in the Yard and Death of a Unicorn have similar elements, but they're completely different movies. Before I get into any of the spoilers, I do want to say I do highly recommend this one. So I recommend go out and see it in the theater. It's a good one. I mean, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of horror, there's a lot of stuff, good cinematography, so it's definitely a great experience in the theater. I don't know how they did this because I never saw this coming, but this movie is a complete mimic of Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
They're moving in herds.
So what do I mean by that? Well, after they've killed the unicorn and they arrive at this residence, and Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega's characters are staying in the really luxurious place. It's out in the middle of nowhere, and it's a job that I guess he's trying to get with these people. It's job related. He's a lawyer. They're like extremely rich and extravagant. After they had killed the unicorn, or after they'd hit the unicorn with their car, they ended up stuffing it in the back of their SUV and bringing it along with them. I guess he was concerned like what would happen. You know, it was right in the middle of the road, and I think they thought it was dead, and it was dead, but it was like this unicorn keeps coming back to life. So the dad, who's played by Richard E. Grant, he is very sick and dying. And as soon as I saw that this unicorn was involved, and Jenna Ortega had some like acne or scarring on her face, and the unicorn healed it really quick when she had touched the unicorn after they had hit it. So I already kind of saw. So there was some predictability. I saw where this was going. He's very sick and on the verge of dying probably, and here comes the unicorn probably going to heal him up. So Paul Rudd is trying to keep the fact that they have just hit and killed a unicorn on their way in away from these prospective people that he's going to be working with. But it doesn't take long for this unicorn to show itself, and as soon as the unicorn is seen by the family that resides there, and the parents are Richard Grant and Tia Leone and Will Coulter's the son, and then there's some like people who work there with them, not related to them, but there's a whole kind of group of people at this basically a mansion. I don't even know what to call it. It's like this luxurious cabin mansion thing out in the woods. And that's when I started getting Jurassic Park vibes. All of a sudden they're referring to the unicorn, and they had no shame. They weren't hiding that. They were not hiding the fact that there was definite inspiration from Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I feel like there's parts of all of those, most of the sequels of Jurassic Park there's like little aspects of them. So like, okay, let's start off with Tia Leone's the mother. She was in Jurassic Park 3. That was just a little thing. As soon as I see her, I think of, Jurassic Park 3. But then they refer to the unicorn as an asset. Well, in Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, all the Jurassic Worlds, they refer to the dinosaurs as assets. But it doesn't stop there, because all of a sudden Richard E. Grant becomes like this combination of John Hammond and Richard Muldoon, or Muldoon. He goes by Muldoon from the original one. he starts John Hammonding this whole story up. All of a sudden, he wants to capitalize on these unicorns and find the cure to cancer, recreate what cured him when he gets unicorn blood in him or unicorn in him somehow.
That horn was rather girthsome.
And Tia Leone, who's his wife, she's all about it. Out of everyone that was in the family that lived there already, she was the most likable of them. Everyone else was so shady. Especially the son. Their son played by Will Poulter. His character was so obnoxious. Just as I had mentioned in my Popeye the Slayer Man review about how characters are in there and they seem to be in there just so you're waiting for them to get killed, and I had that same thought with this guy. I'm like, yeah, these unicorns eventually are gonna get him. So where else did I start getting this Jurassic Park vibe? Well, in one of the earlier scenes, they have the baby. So the unicorn that they hit is the baby. Aha. Now there's two parents. They're out in the woods still, and they're on their way. Very reminiscent of Jurassic Park: The Lost World Part 2 back from 1997, where somehow they get their hands on one of the Tyrannosaurus Rex's babies and they have it in their trailer, and you know the parents are coming. Same exact storyline here. But before I start picking up on that, they're out in the front and they're near their SUV. They're trying to escape because things have already started to go nuts with these unicorns. And Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega are trying to get back in the SUV that they came in. And it literally gave me the vibe of one of the best scenes from the original Jurassic Park, when the two little kids are in the Jeeps that they have there, and the Malcolm and the other adult, Ian or Alan Grant, are in the other SUV, and the dinosaurs come and they're kind of evading around these SUVs. And then at one point in Jurassic Park, the little kids in the SUV underneath and the dinosaurs are on top and looming around. Literally, these unicorns play T-Rex on these guys for a little bit, and I loved it. I mean, it was funny. I mean, you had the whole unicorns who kind of gave they were a creature. They really were. Not that they looked like dinosaurs, but they kind of, the way they walked, they were very big and luminous. Not as big as a T-Rex, but the way they would come in, they had major strength. The parent unicorns had big time strength. And then, you know, they kind of were big and luminous like the T-Rex, but then they also reminded me a little bit of the Velociraptors because they're a little bit smarter, they're a little bit slimmer, a little bit more vicious, and these unicorns are vicious. Remember, these people got their baby. They're playing mama and papa. Also, the whole atmosphere of where they were staying reminded me of the mansion that was in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I believe that was a 2018 release, where they had taken the dinosaurs off of Jurassic World and brought them back to LA, and they get into this mansion that's secluded in the woods, but similar atmosphere there, the lighting and just the whole way it was. And then these unicorns, they do come in and out of the mansion, and they're a force to be reckoned with, I will say. They weren't just little pixie My Little Pony unicorns. These are some tough creatures. Other aspects where this whole thing was reminding me again of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, is when the unicorns are kind of not on screen and you hear them either lurking in the woods nearby or outside the mansion or wherever they are. Like literally, if you closed your eyes and was watching this, you would think you were at any of the Jurassic Parks, any of the Jurassic World movies. And I'm thinking, I just kept having that reoccurring thought. And, you know, honestly, since Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I love the whole franchise, even though it steadily declines in itself throughout time, it still is a great set of movies, and I wasn't mad that this was kind of mimicking it. And at one point, I literally was like waiting for Ian Malcolm to come busting in and start giving off a speech about how we need to let the unicorns be, and let life prevail, and so forth, and just give one of his Jurassic speeches, and it just was comical to me. Now there is some many major differences, and I kept thinking, what movie is this blending with? And I can't really think of a specific movie. It definitely has a magical element with the unicorns being like this magical beast. There's that whole like Narnia thing or whatever magical feel to it, but no specific movie that I'm gonna pinpoint. So overall, I thought this movie was done great. The emotions that it brought to me, like, there was tension, when these beasts are lurking around, there was lots of tension. And then when the movie was trying to be funny, there was some very comical parts, and the comedy didn't take away too much from the tension. I mean, sometimes maybe it did a little bit. The one character, the son, I mean, he was just annoying. I would say most of the villainous characters, they were kind of, except Tia Leone, they were mostly throwaway characters, and when they got picked off by these unicorns, it was like, yippee. But Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, I really think they did a great job. And when I think that was the one thing that made me decide that I was gonna go see this one, and because of them and their history of movies that they've done. Jenna Ortega, obviously, her debut for me at least was Scream 5. She was the opening scene in Scream 5. She also came back for Scream 6. She was in Beetlejuice 2. She had a show Wednesday, which was Wednesday Addams. I totally get like Christina Ricci vibes from her. And then she was in with, who played Lydia Dietz? Oh, Winona Ryder. So she's definitely, the Generation Z version of them. And of course, Paul Rudd's, he's been in so many movies. He's from my generation. He got his start in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. So if you didn't know that, there's a little tidbit of information for you. But he played Tommy Doyle alongside of Donald Pleasance in the 6th installment of Halloween. But I came to know him more when I was younger from Clueless, when he was in the comedy with Alicia Silverstone, Clueless. As of recent, I know last year I saw him in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. He was in Ghostbusters, and I loved him in that. So Paul Rudd, he's been up and down throughout the years in some real good movies and had some real great roles, and he's very versatile. And I believe Jenna Ortega is as well. I never pictured them co-starring in a movie together. Of course, they're a daddy-daughter combination. And there's where they brought in some of the emotional moments. So, at the end they start, Paul Rudd's character really has an arc, more than Jenna Ortega's character, where he really kind of comes around, because he's kind of getting in with these guys and being villainous when they're trying to capitalize on the unicorn and the unicorn's, I guess the unicorn's dust, the unicorn's horn, the unicorn's blood, whatever they were using to kind of cure things, and it was going to be the heal-all, and they were going to make a killing of money on it. And he was kind of resisting it, and Jenna Ortega's character's like, this is wrong, we need to let these unicorns be. I like how they had the whole folklore, the whole mystery, and the magical element with these unicorns. There's this one scene where she gets these like tapestries, and so the tapestries kind of predict, when you first see these tapestries in the beginning of the movie, it kind of gives like this is kind of what's going to happen, and it does. But I really like that and I'm not a big magical Narnia, Harry Potter guy. I don't know even how to classify this one, but this one I really liked. It really did well with the blend of the action and the magical creature. And the magical creature going from magical to horrific and vicious. So like I said, this is spoilers. I mean, by the end of it, there is hardly anyone standing. There's hardly anyone left alive. These unicorns really, they get in there, and There were some gory scenes, and I thought some of it, one of the characters, when they die, I thought they should have been dead, and they're kind of still being torn up by these unicorns. And another aspect of Jurassic World, if anyone remembers the scene in Jurassic World where the dinosaurs are tearing up people, and one dinosaur's got one end, and the other dinosaur's got the other end, and they're kind of yanking at them. These unicorns do the same thing. So again, it's just this, kept giving me this whole Jurassic World vibe. At the end of the day, we're gonna get down to business on this one. I really enjoyed this one. It completely surprised me. It has so many great elements to it. It's not done perfectly. There's some flaws sticking out, and you know, with a sprinkle of comedy, a sprinkle of heart, it really was a great movie. So I walked out of the theater and I said, we have another one. We have another Cheeseburger in Paradise in 2025, and that's what I'm giving Death of a Unicorn. So I highly recommend, if you're still here watching it, thank you for being here and staying to the end, but go out and watch Death of a Unicorn. And also, please like and subscribe if you enjoy the horror content that I've been providing for you. I have been doing movie reviews for about 3 months now. I'm trying to build up my channel and get, provide more and more movie reviews as we get into more new releases.